Our next step is to create a use case diagram. Now you'll notice that if we look, well, I've made a couple of changes. One of them is that I changed the previous access stamps or whatever it was to buy stamps because that's more understandable. But also I noticed that both the postal staff, the delivery person and the manager all receive wages. I've highlighted that. So instead of giving 3 separate use cases for that, we only use one use case. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a use case diagram, and we're going to put in our actors and our use cases, and some of these use cases you'll find are actually included in other use cases. So we're going to go through the process. I'm going to move this out of the way. Hopefully you can remember what is in that list, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to set up our use case diagram. So let's shrink these down and go to more shapes, and then we're going to go under the software area, UML, and choose UML use case. And what that's going to do is give us our nice little use case diagram. Now the first thing we need is a container. Now the container is going to show the system boundaries. Now a lot of these use cases we're going to make the decision as we go, or at some stage during the analysis process, whether those use cases are going to be manual or whether they're going to be taken care of by the system. So at the moment we're not going to worry too much about that, but this is a matter for discussion, and this is probably a preliminary use case diagram used to discuss the scope of the system with the manager. So it's a post office system. Make sure we label it system. And the first thing that we're going to do is put in our actors or roles. So we just drag across our actor, put it here. Now our first actor is a customer. Our next actor is postal staff. And then we might put a manager down here somewhere. You can see we can line them up really easily just by moving them around. It will remind us where the other one is, and that's saying it's the same distance as manager away from that. And the last one, which was the delivery person. Okay, so we've now got our actors. That wasn't too difficult. I might actually shrink this down a little. Just so that I can see more of this use case diagram. Okay, so the next thing that we've got to do is we've got to add in our use cases. So the first one, we'll look at our customer and we'll look at the use cases that are associated with our customer. Now the first one is to buy stamps. So now you might think that buy stamps might not be something that's handled by the system, but it could also be handled by the system if the customer could come in and use an automated machine to buy stamps, as an example. So again, this is part of that discussion about automation. Okay, we connect up the customer. Oops. There we go. Connect up the customer and buy stamps. Make sure that it's straight. And we're going to also have another use case diagram, which is make payment. And that might be for stamps, or it might be for other services. And I'm just going to drag that up a little bit, just so I've got enough room for all these different use cases. Another use case was rent PO box. This is just from our list that we had before. And the final one was send mail. Okay, so that's great. We've set these. You can see it didn't take very long to actually set these use cases up. for the customer. Just going to join them up like that. Okay. Now the next thing is that the postal staff. Now the postal staff may dispense stamps, and that may be part of the system as well. Dispense stamps. They may maintain the inventory of stamps. So in other words, when new stamps come in, they're going to update the amount, or if they sell them, they're going to remove take some off. That could be automated by the system, or it may be a manual process as well. They're going to manage these post office boxes. They're going to process the mail. And they might also manually register the mail, or use the system to register the mail. So we make sure that it definitely gets somewhere. Okay, so these are some different use cases that are associated with our postal staff. I'm just joining them all up. Now notice that I'm joining them all from the same point. You don't actually have to do that. I could join them from another point down here. There is no, there's nothing that actually says that I can't do that. I just think it looks neater if you go from one point, but it is up to you how you do it. Okay, now you may notice that when you buy stamps, that's actually going to affect the inventory. So when you buy stamps from the system, then the system should probably maintain the inventory as well. So what we can say is that the buy stamps use case actually includes the maintain inventory. It also includes dispense stamps. So what we can do is we can, I'm just going to see if I can mouse over this. It's going to let me do that. It doesn't want to let me do that. Okay, I'm just going to move this over a bit and see if it, yeah. Sometimes it gets a little bit messy. Hang on, I've got a plane going over. Sorry about that. Okay, so you can see that joining these up, if you join the use cases together, then they are going to put a dotted line, and you always do it from the use case that includes the other use case. And you double click on the thing to get, on the line to get a text, and put in includes. Okay, so you can see that that's an includes. You could also, the renting the PO box is going to include managing the PO boxes, or so we can join those two together, include one in the other. For some reason it doesn't like them being in that spot, but you can get around it. Includes. Okay, and now sending mail might include the process mail. So again, this is going to include that. You may find that it's actually better to offset them, because as you can see, the includes takes up nearly the whole thing there, whereas if you move it up a bit, it's going to be a little bit more noticeable, the actual arrow. Okay, so we've got those, and then we've got deliver mail, which is for the delivery person. Whoops, deliver mail, which may include processing the mail. So we may want to join those two up as well, remembering that you can move these around. So move this one down here, move that one up there. My delivering mail can connect up to processing mail. And then we've also got somewhere in here, going to join that one up. We've also got somewhere in here a receive wage, if you remember, which is the manager, the postal staff and the delivery person all connect up with that one. Okay, so let's see how I can do that. Now that's going to be difficult. It's really going to be difficult. Okay, so okay, let's do that. It's not ideal. You could actually fiddle with it until it sits in a better spot. Same with these. That might actually sit better. Okay, so you can see the includes relationship. And then, of course, we have the delivery person also receives. Oops, that wasn't what I wanted. The delivery person also receives a wage. And again, I'm just putting the bump in it so you can see where it sits. And then there's only one more to do, which is the manager, and the manager is going to want to access reports. Now what you would normally do is you would take these and check them with the people that actually are the actors in the system and work out whether this is really what they want to do with the system. But this is a good start, and it's a first start to our use case diagram. You can see if I pull these over, we've actually dealt with all of those different use cases, which is quite a few different use cases. And if I zoom out, you can see that this is quite a complex use case diagram. And if you had looked at that to start with, you would think that that was probably too complex. But as you can see, just doing it step by step actually means that you can manage it. So you are required to do a use case diagram for your assignment, and you can choose to do one about the whole system, or you can choose to do one about one of the customers, one of the roles, the actors, and if it's very complex, it's really up to you. But I don't expect one with just say 3 use cases on it. It needs to have some complexity in it. So next we're going to look at modelling the things in a system, and we're going to look at an entity relationship diagram.